Admiral Elena Torres stood before the holographic display in the underground command center of Luna Base, her dark eyes fixed on the swarm of red markers representing the Nexian Empire's invasion fleet. The massive alien armada had just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their crystalline ships glinting like deadly ice shards in the starlight. "Time to intercept," she asked, her voice steady despite the weight of humanity's fate resting on her shoulders. Lieutenant Marcus Chen checked his readings. 12 hours, Admiral. Their trajectory suggests they're heading straight for Earth. The gathered military leaders and scientists exchanged grim looks. In the 3 years since first contact with the Nexian Empire, humanity had lost every major engagement. The aliens' energy shield technology and quantum weaponry had proven devastatingly effective against conventional human defenses. Mars' colony was already gone, its domed cities reduced to rubble. The outer colonies had fallen silent one by one. But this time would be different. This time, humanity had a secret. "Show me the Vanguard," Torres commanded. The hologram shifted to display a sleek vessel unlike anything in Earth's regular fleet. Where most human ships were bulky and utilitarian, the Vanguard was smooth and angular, its dark hull seeming to drink in the light. It was the product of Project Phoenix, humanity's desperate attempt to reverse engineer captured Nexian technology. Dr. Samira Patel, the project's lead scientist, stepped forward. "The quantum cloaking system is fully operational, Admiral. The Nexians won't see us coming until it's too late." "And the weapon?" Torres asked. Patel nodded, her expression both proud and worried. "The gravity lance is ready. We've successfully integrated the captured Nexian crystals into our own design. If our calculations are correct, it should be able to pierce their shields by creating localized singularities." "But," she hesitated, "we've only been able to test it on a small scale." Torres understood the unspoken warning. They were betting everything on untested technology. But what choice did they have? The Nexians had made their intentions clear. They saw humanity as a plague to be purged from the galaxy. Their leaders had dismissed human achievements as primitive, mocking their crude attempts at space travel and defense. "Captain Victor Raman," Torres called out. The Vanguard's commanding officer stepped forward, his weathered face reflecting years of combat experience. "Your crew understands this is likely a one-way mission." Raman's jaw tightened. "They volunteered to a person. Admiral, we know what's at stake." Torres surveyed the room, taking in the faces of Earth's last line of defense. They had lost so much, but that very loss had forced them to innovate, to push the boundaries of what was possible. The Nexians thought humans were predictable, that they would fight conventionally until the bitter end. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "The Vanguard launches in 6 hours, Torres announced. "This is humanity's last stand. The Nexians believe they're hunting prey, but they're about to face predators." Dismissed. As the command center erupted into activity, Torres approached Raman privately. "Victor, if this works, if you can breach their flagship's shields, we'll send them a message they'll never forget." Raman finished. "The Nexians think they know humanity's limits. They don't realize that humans are at their most dangerous when backed into a corner." Torres watched as Raman left to prep his ship and crew. Outside, through the reinforced windows of Luna Base, Earth hung like a blue jewel in the void. Somewhere out there, the Nexian fleet approached, confident in their superiority, unaware that humanity had turned their own arrogance against them. The coming battle would determine not just the fate of Earth, but whether humanity deserved its place among the stars. And Torres had a feeling the Nexians were about to learn a painful lesson about underestimating human ingenuity. The Vanguard slipped through space like a shadow, its quantum cloaking field bending light and energy around its hull. On the bridge, Captain Raman watched the tactical display as they approached the Nexian fleet. The alien armada was massive. Hundreds of crystalline ships arranged in perfect geometric formations, their discipline reflecting their belief in their own superiority. "Status of the cloaking field?" Raman asked, his voice barely above a whisper despite knowing the Nexians couldn't possibly hear them. Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, their systems specialist, monitored the complex array of instruments that kept their experimental technology functioning. "Field is stable, Captain. Energy signature is masked to match background radiation. We're invisible to their sensors." The bridge crew worked in tense silence as the Vanguard weaved through the outer edges of the Nexian fleet. Through the view screen, they could see the alien ships up close. Massive crystalline structures that pulsed with internal energy, their surfaces refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Multiple energy spikes detected. Tactical Officer Maya Santos reported. "They're launching their first wave against Earth's defenses." Rama nodded grimly. "Right on schedule." The Nexians were nothing if not predictable in their arrogance. They always opened with a show of force, expecting their targets to crumble before their superior technology. "Take us in closer to their flagship," Raman ordered. "Dr. Patel, how's our package looking?" In the ship's engineering section, Samira Patel monitored the gravity lance's power core. The captured Nexian crystals pulsed with an otherworldly light, their energy carefully contained by electromagnetic fields. "The crystals are responding exactly as theorized, Captain. The quantum resonance is building. We'll only get one shot at this, but it should be spectacular." The Vanguard crept closer to the Nexian flagship, a massive vessel shaped like a perfect dodecahedron, its crystalline surfaces gleaming with internal energy. At its heart lay the control nexus, where the alien commander would be coordinating their assault on Earth. "Message from Luna Base," Communications Officer Chen announced. "Admiral Torres reports Earth's defense grid is engaging the first wave. The Nexians are deploying as expected." Raman allowed himself a small smile. The aliens were so convinced of their superiority that they never varied their tactics. They never had to, until now. "Dr. Patel, begin power-up sequence for the gravity lance," Raman ordered. "Lieutenant Tanaka, prepare to drop the cloak on my mark. Lieutenant Santos, target their command nexus the moment we decloak." The tension on the bridge ratcheted up as the crew prepared for humanity's first real counterpunch in this war. Everything hinged on these next few moments. If their calculations were wrong, if the captured technology didn't work as intended, Earth's last hope would vanish in an instant. Through the view screen, they watched Nexian energy beams strike Earth's defensive shields. The aliens' weapons were devastating, but the planetary shields, reinforced with lessons learned from previous battles, were holding for now. "Gravity lance at full power," Paddle reported, her voice tight with tension. "Crystal resonance is at optimal levels. We're ready, Captain." Raman took a deep breath. This was the moment that would determine whether humanity had a future among the stars. "All hands, battle stations. Lieutenant Tanaka, drop the cloak on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." The Vanguard shimmered into visibility less than a kilometer from the Nexian flagship's command section. For a brief moment, nothing happened, the alien sensors struggling to process the sudden appearance of a human vessel in their midst. "Fire," Raman ordered. The gravity lance activated, its power core channeling energy through the captured Nexian crystals. Space itself seemed to twist as the weapon created a series of microscopic, precisely controlled singularities. The Nexian flagship's shields, designed to deflect energy and kinetic weapons, were useless against localized distortions in spacetime itself. The bridge crew watched in awe as sections of the massive alien vessel began to implode, the crystalline structure cracking and shattering as it was torn apart from within. Chaos erupted across the Nexian fleet as their perfectly coordinated formations began to break down. "Direct hit on their command nexus," Santos reported, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. "Their primary control systems are completely compromised." "Multiple Nexian vessels breaking formation," Tanaka added. They're falling into disarray." Raman allowed his crew a moment of celebration before focusing on their next move. "Dr. Patel, how long until the gravity lance can fire again?" "The crystals need time to recharge," she replied. "But, Captain, we're detecting some unusual energy readings from the debris. The Nexian technology. It's reacting to our weapon in ways we didn't anticipate." Before Raman could respond, the tactical display lit up with new warnings. The Nexian fleet was regrouping, but not in their usual precise formations. For the first time since the war began, the aliens were being forced to adapt. "Send word to Admiral Torres," Raman ordered. "Tell her Phase 1 was successful, but the real battle is just beginning. The Nexians are about to learn that humanity doesn't follow their rules of warfare." As the alien fleet moved to surround them, Raman couldn't help but feel a fierce pride. They had just proven that humanity could hurt these invaders. Now it was time to show them why it was a mistake to back humans into a corner. Alarms blared throughout the vanguard as the Nexian fleet closed in. The destruction of their flagship had thrown them into momentary chaos, but now they were adapting, their crystalline ships forming new, unpredictable patterns around the human vessel. "Multiple weapon locks detected," Santos warned. "They're surrounding us in a tessellating pattern. Never seen them use this formation before." Captain Raman studied the tactical display intently. The Nexians were learning, evolving their tactics in real time. It was both impressive and terrifying. Status of the gravity lance. "Crystals still need time to recharge," Dr. Paddle reported from engineering. "But Captain, these energy readings from the debris field, I don't think they're random. The quantum resonance patterns, they're communicating." Before Raman could process this information, the first wave of Nexian attacks struck. Energy beams from a dozen ships converged on the Vanguard's position. The ship shuddered violently. "Shields holding at 60%, Tanaka reported. "The quantum-reinforced armor is working, but we can't take many more hits like that." Raman's mind raced. They couldn't run. The Vanguard's experimental drive wasn't designed for long-range jumps. They couldn't fight. The gravity lance needed time to recharge. But maybe. "Dr. Patel," he called out, "you said the crystals are communicating. Could we use our cloaking system to tap into those signals?" There was a moment of silence from engineering. That's brilliant, Captain. The quantum field generator we use for cloaking operates on similar principles to their crystal technology. If we reverse the polarity and tune it to match their resonance frequency, we could hijack their network," Raman finished. "How long?" 3 minutes to reconfigure the system. "But sir, this is completely theoretical. We have no idea how their crystalline technology will react." Another barrage rocked the ship. "Shields at 40%, Tanaka warned. "We don't have many options left." Raman made his decision. "Do it. Lieutenant Chen, send a coded burst to Luna Base. Tell them to prepare for Phase 2, regardless of what happens here." The next 3 minutes were the longest of Raman's life. The Vanguard twisted and turned through space, using every evasive maneuver in their playbook to stay alive. The Nexians were getting more accurate with each shot, learning their patterns, closing the net. "Reconfiguration complete," Patel announced. "Initiating quantum resonance broadcast." Now, for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the tactical display lit up like a Christmas tree. The crystalline debris from the destroyed flagship began to pulse with energy. The signal spread through space, jumping from one piece to another, creating a web of quantum connections. "Energy surge detected in the Nexian fleet," Santos reported, her voice filled with wonder. "Their ships, their crystals are resonating with the debris field." The effect rippled through the alien armada. Their perfect formations began to waver as their ship's crystal cores responded to the unexpected signal. Some vessels started to drift, their energy weapons powering down. "It's working," Paddle exclaimed. "Their technology, it's all connected through quantum entanglement. By tapping into one crystal, we can influence them all." But victory celebrations were premature. The largest remaining Nexian vessels began to pulse with a different frequency, attempting to reassert control over their network. "They're adapting again," Raman observed. Dr. Patel, can you strengthen our signal? Yes, but she hesitated. If we push the quantum field generator any harder, we risk overloading our own systems. The backlash could be catastrophic. Raman looked at the tactical display. The Nexian fleet was already beginning to recover, their ships realigning into new formations. They had seconds to make a decision. Divert all non-essential power to the quantum field generator, he ordered. Lieutenant Tanaka, prepare to reinitialize the cloaking system the moment I give the word. Lieutenant Santos, plot a course through their lines. We'll only get one shot at this. The Vanguard's engines hummed as power was redirected to their experimental systems. The quantum field expanded, its invisible tendrils reaching out through space, connecting with every piece of crystalline technology in range. Signal at maximum strength, Paddle reported. Crystal network is destabilizing, but our systems are redlining. We can't maintain this for more than 30 seconds. Raman watched as chaos spread through the Nexian fleet. Ships spun out of formation, their crystal cores pulsing with conflicting signals. It was time for the gambit. All hands, brace for emergency maneuvers, he commanded. Lieutenant Santos, execute our attack run. Dr. Patel, prepare to cut the quantum field on my mark. We're going to show these aliens that sometimes the best weapon isn't the one that destroys your enemy. It's the one that turns their strength into a weakness. The Vanguard surged forward through the disarray of the Nexian fleet, its engines straining as it threaded between disabled and disoriented alien vessels. On the bridge, Captain Raman watched as their desperate plan unfolded. 15 seconds until system overload, Dr. Patel warned from engineering. The quantum field generator was screaming now, its experimental components pushed far beyond their design limits. Through the view screen, Raman could see the effect their signal was having on the Nexian ships. Their crystalline hulls pulsed with chaotic energy as conflicting commands tore through their quantum network. But the largest vessels were already beginning to stabilize, their more powerful cores fighting back against the human interference. Admiral Torres is reporting multiple Nexian ships breaking off their attack on Earth, Chen announced. The defense grid is holding. Raman nodded grimly. Time to show them our final card. Lieutenant Santos, bring us about. Target the largest concentration of their command ships. The Vanguard banked hard, its structural integrity field straining as it turned to face the heart of the Nexian fleet. The alien vessels that had regained control were already moving to intercept, their weapon systems charging. 10 seconds to overload, Patel called out. Captain, the gravity lance. The crystals are fully charged, but if we fire it while maintaining the quantum field, we might tear ourselves apart, Raman finished. I know. Lieutenant Tanaka, prepare to drop our shields and divert all power to weapons. Lieutenant Santos, calculate firing solutions for both the gravity lance and our conventional weapons. His crew looked at him in shock, but their training took over. They understood. This was the moment everything hinged on. 5 seconds. Raman took a deep breath. On my mark. Dr. Patel, cut the quantum field. Lieutenant Santos, fire everything. We have the instant our signal drops. Lieutenant Tanaka, get our shields back up immediately after. The bridge crew tensed, ready for their captain's command. Through the view screen, they could see the Nexian ships closing in, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Mark. The quantum field collapsed. In that same instant, the Vanguard unleashed its full arsenal. The gravity lance fired, its beam amplified by the residual energy from their quantum broadcast. Conventional missiles and energy weapons followed in its wake, taking advantage of the momentary gaps in the Nexian defenses. Space itself seemed to twist as the gravity lance struck home. The concentrated blast caught 3 Nexian command ships in its effect, their crystalline structures imploding as microscopic black holes tore through their hulls. The conventional weapons found their marks in the chaos, exploiting weaknesses in the aliens' normally impenetrable shields. Direct hits. Santos called out triumphantly. Multiple Nexian vessels critically damaged. But they weren't done yet. The backlash from their attack rippled through space, carrying with it an unexpected effect. The quantum resonance they had created, combined with the gravity lance's space-time distortions, created a cascade through the Nexian fleet's neural network. Energy surge detected, Tanaka reported, her eyes wide. The quantum feedback, it's spreading through their entire fleet. On the tactical display, they watched as ship after ship lost power, their crystal cores overloading from the conflicting quantum signals. The perfect geometric formations of the Nexian fleet dissolved into chaos. Message from Luna Base, Chen announced. Admiral Torres reports the Nexian forces are in full retreat. They're abandoning their attack positions around Earth. Cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Raman held up his hand for silence. Something wasn't right. The energy readings from the disabled Nexian ships were still climbing. Dr. Patel. Analysis. The quantum cascade. It's not just disabling their ships, Captain. The crystal cores are becoming unstable if they reach critical mass. Before she could finish, the nearest Nexian vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The crystalline structure didn't just break apart. It shattered across dimensional planes, each fragment releasing bursts of quantum energy. All hands, brace for impact. Raman ordered. Lieutenant Tanaka, divert all available power to shields. The Vanguard shuddered as the quantum shockwave hit them. Around them, more Nexian ships began to detonate, each explosion adding to the chaos. The tactical display showed the remaining alien vessels frantically jumping to hyperspace, fleeing the cascade effect they had unwittingly helped create. Damage report. Raman called out once the worst had passed. Shields at 20%, Tanaka responded. Multiple systems damage, but hull integrity is holding. The gravity lance is offline, probably permanently. Engineering reports the quantum field generator is burned out. Patel added, we won't be able to replicate this trick, Captain. Relma nodded slowly, watching as the last of the Nexian ships disappeared into hyperspace. They had won, but at what cost? And more importantly, what would happen when the aliens realized exactly how humanity had turned their own technology against them? Send word to Admiral Torres, he ordered. Tell her the Nexians just learned that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology. It's our willingness to risk everything to protect what's ours. 3 days after the battle, Admiral Torres stood in the observation deck of Luna Base, watching engineers repair the scars left on Earth's orbital defense platforms. Behind her, the holographic display showed the aftermath of humanity's unexpected victory. Debris fields of crystalline shards stretching across the solar system, each piece still humming with residual quantum energy. The analysis is complete, Admiral, Dr. Patel announced as she entered the room. The scientist looked exhausted but triumphant. You're going to want to see this. Torres turned from the window as Patel activated a new hologram. It showed the intricate molecular structure of the Nexian crystals, but now with patterns she had never seen before. What are we looking at, Doctor? The truth about why the Nexians attacked us. Patel replied, her voice tight with excitement. These crystals aren't just technology. They're alive. Or at least they were. The Nexians found them, learned to shape them, but they never truly understood them. But we did. Torres asked, raising an eyebrow. Not at first. But when we reverse-engineered their technology, we did something they never considered. We listened. Patel manipulated the hologram, showing the quantum resonance patterns they had detected during the battle. The crystals communicate, Admiral. They're part of a vast network that spans the galaxy. The Nexians used them as weapons and tools, forcing them to bend to their will. But humanity, we collaborated with them. Understanding dawned on Torres's face. That's why our quantum field worked so well. We weren't fighting the crystal's nature. We were working with it. Exactly. The Nexians saw our attempts to understand the crystals as a threat. They knew that if we ever realized the truth, Patel trailed off. We'd have an advantage they could never match, Torres finished, because we'd approach it as partners, not masters. The door slid open again, admitting Captain Raman. He moved stiffly, still recovering from the battle, but his eyes were bright. "Admiral, we're detecting unusual activity at the edge of the system," he reported. "Multiple quantum signatures, but they're not Nexian." Torres turned back to the holographic display as it updated with the new information. Dozens of objects were approaching Earth, their crystalline structures similar to Nexian ships, but fundamentally different. Where Nexian vessels were all sharp angles and forced symmetry, these forms flowed naturally, their surfaces rippling with gentle pulses of light. "They're responding to the crystals we awakened," Patel breathed, her instruments recording massive spikes in quantum activity. "We didn't just beat the Nexians. We got the attention of something much older, much more advanced." A transmission cut through all frequencies, not in words or images, but in pure quantum resonance. Dr. Patel's instruments translated it into patterns they could understand. "They're thanking us," she said, wonder in her voice. "The crystal beings, the original ones, they'd been waiting for a species that would understand them, not just use them. The Nexians thought they were the masters of this technology, but they were just children playing with something they didn't understand." "And now?" Torres asked, watching as the crystal ships drew closer, their formations a dance of mathematical beauty. "Now we have a chance to learn," Raman said quietly. "Really learn, not just reverse engineer. The Nexians wanted to destroy us because they feared what we might become. They never imagined we'd become something better than them." Torres nodded slowly, a smile spreading across her face. "Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology or our weapons. It was our ability to adapt, to understand, to see possibilities where others saw only tools of war." The crystal ships entered orbit, their presence sending ripples through the quantum network that now spanned the solar system. On Earth below, in lunar bases, and in surviving colonies across the system, humans looked up at their new allies with wonder and hope. "Send word to every surviving human settlement," Torres ordered. Tell them that humanity didn't just win a war today. We proved why we deserve our place among the stars. And now we're about to take our first steps into a much larger universe." As if in response, the crystal ships began to pulse with patterns of light, sharing their ancient knowledge with the first species that had proven worthy of it. The Nexians had feared human potential, had tried to destroy humanity before they could truly understand the crystal's nature. Instead, they had catalyzed humanity's greatest leap forward. The dawn of a new age had arrived, not through conquest or dominance, but through humanity's unique ability to turn understanding into partnership and enemies into teachers. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, welcoming humanity into a future even they couldn't have imagined.